The process is ongoing and can be daunting and relentless at times. But it can also be exhilarating and joyful and pleasant. Getting used to the idea of not always getting a win every single time you do something is the process. The fact that you continue to put effort in is what proves to you that you belong or that you are moving in the right direction. These are the things I remind myself of all the time. And usually what I have to remind myself is at these low points, in the times where I didn't book a thing, or I see folks doing something that I really wanted to do and didn't yet get the opportunity to do it. And it's easy to take those moments and linger in them and live in them and let that be, the catalyst for negative thought and to a spiral, and before you know it, you fall out of the habit of continuing to post or submit and audition or write or produce or just do it without permission from anyone. And that's where I lived for a very, very long time. And when the good moments come around, we tend to enjoy them for like a brief moment. And then we start panicking about either A, losing it, or B, okay, that moment's over and now we're looking for the next one. And so when a good thing comes around, as part of this ongoing process that is me engaging with the process, the effort in putting a career together using my creative sensibilities, I want to sit and enjoy the wins when they come, particularly when they're relatively larger than the ones I've gotten in the past. This past weekend, I got one of those wins. One of my goals when I initially started working towards creating a career out of acting and doing music was to work at a specific theater in town. And I've auditioned for that theater several times, unsuccessfully. But I continue to submit and I continue to audition. And this past weekend, I got an offer from that theater. I'm not going to disclose the theater, the show, but this project was one that when it came up on the schedule of things to potentially do, I kind of wanted. And very quickly was like, I would love to be in that show. But I didn't think that I truly belonged in that show because I didn't think I was good enough. And so it seemed very aspirational to me. And to some people, this may not be a super aspirational thing. And the role that I was offered may not necessarily be the biggest thing ever. But for someone who is still relatively new to this process, this is an incredible opportunity. And I'm not saying this to brag. I'm not saying this to rub it in anyone's faces or anything like that. On the contrary, this is for me to remember later on after this feeling goes away, because it will go away. Inevitably, the emotional high of booking a thing, hitting a goal, doing something that you set out to do and you achieve it, that feeling inevitably fades, and it sometimes can fade pretty quickly. And so this is for me to be able to look back in a month, 2 months, in a couple months when this whole process is over and remember that this feeling right now is where it started. I booked the thing. That's the point of all of this, right? And it's interesting, the emotions that come with like booking a new job is, on the one hand, like, you're super stoked, like, all the work that you put in preparing for the audition and preparing to go in and submit and all that. It feels like you accomplished it. You're like, yes, I did it. But it's just the beginning. It truly is just the beginning, because now the second part of the job happens. And I'm really starting to get the feeling, or the rhythm of booking jobs. And there's three sections, there's three parts to it. Part one is the audition process. That's the biggest, I think, time investment, usually, it seems like, at least, is finding these postings, these places, and submitting and preparing and putting your resume together and making sure everything is in line, and submitting the right self-tape, or picking the right cut for your audition when you go into the room, and prepping and trying to see like who is involved in the process and what they might like, and doing your research about the company and all that stuff. Like, that's a full-time job in itself. And then if you are lucky enough to book that gig, part two is the rehearsal process, the prep time. So now you have to fully invest as much of yourself into this project as you can to get the most out of it, to grow as a performer, but also to bring it to life as a company, as a group, like with the other people, because they are all counting on you, regardless of how big or small your role is. Everyone else in that room, in that company, is counting on you to do your part. And without everyone doing their part, the whole thing falls apart. So that's part two. And then part three is the actual performance. In that moment, on that stage, with the audience in the house, to fully commit to that moment and invest the emotion into the moment, the character, the entire show, so that the people in the audience can have an experience. And so like that's like the third part. And so you would think that like the performance aspect is like the biggest part, but it's beginning to feel to me like the biggest parts of this are all the prep time, the stuff that leads up to that. It's really interesting. And so booking a job sometimes feels like the culmination of it, but it's really just the end of phase one and the beginning of phase two, because now, I put my money where my mouth is. I said that I can do this role. The people in charge believe in me, but they don't truly know. And so now comes time to show what I actually can do and to do the work to get the show complete. So yeah, all of that to say, I booked a gig. It's a gig that I've had my eye on for a little bit now, and I'm really, really proud of myself. I feel like this is something that is a bit of a step in my journey. It's truly phenomenal, and I'm kind of blown away that I booked this. I had auditioned for this like 2 months ago, and it's been a long time, and I didn't hear anything back, and so I just assumed that it was done, like truly. And then this past week, like I said, on Friday morning, I got an email that had been sent like super late at night, and I woke up early to walk the dog before doing work stuff, and I got the email. I saw it, and I was floored. It was pretty incredible. So I replied to it, and I sent it to my agents and have them take a look at it and stuff, and we got in contact with the directors and the company and ironed out a couple of things. We had a couple of questions, and everything got squared away. And so like as of right now, I'm waiting on the contract. So it's technically still not entirely done, but I think everyone's agreed to everything. We're just waiting on the final confirmation. And so yeah, I'm going to be doing a show. And again, I will talk about it once things are public, things are official, and all that. I'll give more specific details. But that's coming during the week here now, where we're in like 2 weeks till we open the Secret Garden at the Georgetown Palace Theater. And it always feels weird to like overlap these things, to like be thinking about the next thing before your current thing is even done or is even opened, really. I mean, we still have 2 weeks of rehearsal, tech weekend this weekend. And so trying to iron out or to plan out your year seems like the never-ending task and challenge, and like to fill up your schedule with as much stuff as possible to try to create an ongoing career out of this kind of stuff. That's the challenge, that's the goal, but it's a fun one. It's a relentless pursuit that I absolutely love, because I'm always trying to look to the next thing. I'm looking for, more challenges, more, pursuits and stuff. And so, but as much as I'm focusing on those kind of things, you have to stay focused on the project that you're doing as well. You can't let that suffer. And so, we've missed a few days of rehearsals now because of the weather here in Austin. Is 20 something degrees outside right now. It's icy and snow and stuff. And so roads are not very safe. So they canceled last night's rehearsal and tonight's rehearsal, which means we only have a couple of rehearsals left until we open, which is kind of scary, because while we are in great shape and I truly fully trust everyone involved to be there and we'll be on our game, it would be nice to have some more rehearsals for sure, as we're getting down to the wire. But I have full confidence that we'll get everything done. But that's the challenge, is to come in knowing your stuff and to get to go. Puppy just came and put his head in my lap. So that's what, if you see me looking down here, that's what that's about. But yeah, booked a new thing. Got a show coming up soon. Again, we open January 31st at the Georgetown Palace Theater. You can see me as Lieutenant Wright, also understudying another role in the show. And we have a phenomenal group of people. I cannot wait to open this show. Yes, we need some more work. We got to figure out some things, but I'm also I'm getting to the point where I'm like, okay, let's start running this show. I'm ready. I really, really want to put this thing on its feet and start doing it for real. I'm really excited. So that is today's little journal entry, if you will. It's kind of what this is. It's an ongoing log of my thoughts and feelings as I'm going through here. That's why I don't put any intro music or have a intro at the beginning, a spiel. The only thing I want to keep saying is my affirmation at the end of this, because ultimately this is an ongoing attempt to engage with the process of being an actor, being creative. And that's, sometimes you have big wins like the one I got this week. Sometimes you have big losses. Sometimes, you take a hit. Sometimes it feels like all your effort is for nothing. But it's all part of the process. So just, again, just want to say that if you're at all the kind of person that is trying to make a living or a life out of being creative and finding a balance between all of those things, you are worthy of that endeavor. It is a noble pursuit, no matter what the world tells you. And you deserve it. If you're engaging with the process authentically, you deserve it, and you will get there. It may take a while, but you will get there. So thank you so much. My name is Brian Sanchez, and I'm an actor.